It is time for another adventure. I think my setting up abilities leave something to be desired as well. As you can see, the weather is getting nicer and nicer by the minute. Today we're going to be trying out a new dehydrated pre-packaged meal that I've created myself. And the best part is we're going to use a silicone bag that's safe to cook in, and it's completely reusable. I hate the idea of throwing away product after every time I go for a hike. So I'm hoping that this new silicone bag is going to be that answer to my backpacking dreams. And I'm going to be able to prepare my food ahead of time, cook in the bag, throw it in my pack, and at the end of the hike, wash the thing out and prepare for the next adventure. We're also going to be trying out a new tarp that I bought. And I actually bought this thing about 3 years ago for a family camping trip. It was supposed to rain. The forecast actually turned out to be completely wrong, and I've never pulled the thing out of the package. So we're going to learn together and see if we've got all the tools that we need to set up a great tarp shelter before we start cooking. This really is probably one of the most beautiful places I've been in a very long time. If you look at the ground cover, this is gorgeous yellow-green moss everywhere. I'm literally following the yellow brick road. Absolutely amazing. As you can see, the weather is getting nicer and nicer by the minute. So I'm going to cross over the river to that field. That's where we're going to set up our tarp shelter and then start on lunch. So bear with me as I try and figure out how to cross that river. Hopefully my wife isn't watching this because she'll lecture me about doing stupid things when I'm out on my own. We're halfway there. Success. So I heard about this area on some of the local hiking blogs, and it's kind of a retreat for the locals to escape and let off a little steam. It's a shame to come across such a beautiful area and find trash. So, like always, I've got a garbage bag in my pack, and we'll be doing a little cleanup when we're done today. But for starters, I'm gonna find a place to set up our tarp, get out of this hail, and we'll get some lunch started. So before we get into cooking, the first thing I want to do is try out this new tarp. And as I said earlier, I bought this a couple years ago, but haven't had the opportunity to try it out yet. It's a very basic tarp. It's certainly not a high-end thing. I think I paid about $40 for it. I'll leave the information, fact check myself if that's wrong. But it is basically, I believe, a 9x10 tarp. It's designed to be a ridgeline, but it should be able to be used for our purposes today too. Let's see what we've got in the bag. So it looks like our tarp came with some guy lines and some tent stakes. So we have 4 included stakes. They feel incredibly lightweight. I'm gonna guess they're aluminum. For the price I paid, I can't imagine they're anything different. Right, well, as you can see, the tarp is set up. I'd like to say it was an easy process, but the reality is I probably should practice this a little bit more before I head out. As you can see, it's a basic 9x10 tarp. The one thing that I did notice right off the bat is that it doesn't have many places to tie down. But what I did instead is I used my trekking poles and I guy lined out, and we've got some rocks holding it in place. I'm sure the bushcrafter folks that watch this channel are going to give me some comments on a better way to do it. But for how heavy it's raining, my goal was just to get the tarp up and get out of the rain. And that's what we accomplished today. Man, is it wet. So what started out as a light rainfall turned into just this downpour of hail, and it's turned back to rain now. So I apologize in advance if the noise is too much. I did a makeshift tarp. We've got a fancy pole here keeping things up for us, but as you can see, the wind is picking up. I would say for the $40 investment on this tarp, it's not bad, but it obviously leaves something to be desired. And I think my setting up abilities leave something to be desired as well. We're going to be using our VRS 3000 again today. I continue to play around with this and got a bit of a love-hate relationship. I'll be honest, after using a jet boil for well over a decade, I'm still not too keen on just how small and lightweight this little stove is, but I don't have any real complaints about it other than the fact that it feels a little flimsy. It seems to always do the job. So, I know recently in my other hiking videos, I've been bad-mouthing dehydrated backpacking meals. Probably a little more than they really deserve. And the reality is dehydrated meals certainly have a place. And I will use them on occasion as well if I'm trying to keep my pack weight down, or I know I'm going to be out for an extended period of time and fresh food just doesn't make sense. But that doesn't mean you have to settle for a really bad dehydrated meal. So I put together my own kit. This is a neat little silicone pouch that I found. These are amazing. It's a completely food-safe, cooking-friendly, reusable silicone bag. These things are 1,000 milliliters. They've got a nice little locking closure. I didn't entirely trust it, so I put it in a Ziploc. But everything says it can come up to over 400 degrees. You can use it in the microwave, use it in the oven, use it as a boil in a bag. We're going to try it out today for a dehydrated meal. And what we've built out today is a beef and vegetable soup with noodles and okra. Now the cool thing about this, and I'll leave all the information in the description, but I made this meal for under $2 from everything that I sourced from one of my local bulk food suppliers. I continue to struggle with the idea of spending $10, $12, $15, $20 on a dehydrated meal when I can make it at home for a fraction of the cost and get a lot better flavor out of it. I think one of my favorite things about this bowl is that it's got this nice flat bottom on it. It makes it nice and freestanding and a lot safer when it comes to transferring hot water into a bag. We're going to just seal this up. And we're going to set it aside and let it slowly cook. Before we get too carried away, waiting for that meal to cook, I'm gonna make up some hot cocoa too. Seems like a cocoa kind of day. Oh my goodness, those camera angles are getting tricky. I don't know if I've ever mentioned my spork before. I've got a spoon and a spork combo, and these things are awesome. I picked these up also from Amazon, not too proud to admit it, and they were just a few dollars. It's a titanium spork. It's identical to those name brand ones that you can buy for $20. This thing was a lot cheaper, and it served me quite well. Between my spork and my wooden chopsticks that I picked up in a restaurant months ago, I think I'm doing A-okay. Well, folks, I am sorry for all the terrible camera angles today. Unfortunately, since I just use a cell phone for recording, I don't want to risk getting it out there in the rain. But I appreciate you sticking along with me today. Our soup is just about done. The amazing thing about this soup that I was trying to tell you earlier is it's packed with about 25, 26 grams of protein. There's 80 grams of carbohydrates. The whole thing weighs less than 300 grams of dry weight. And that's not including the silicone pouch, of course. But it is an amazingly light, about 9 ounces, and it gives you everything you need to fully sustain. Now, the portion that I created is actually what the recommended size for 2 people would be, based off of other dehydrated meals. I tend to eat a lot, so I'm making myself a nice extra large soup. I'm going to leave all the information in the description below on what's in it, but just the real basics. There's a dry soup mix that consists of different vegetables. So you have onions, green peppers, red bell peppers. I think there's dried tomatoes in there. Don't quote me on that one. There's different spices and seasonings. Then I have a dried okra, which is amazing. The crispness and the sweetness of the okra adds a lot of the flavor to the soup. Then, of course, we throw in our beef jerky as our protein. This beef jerky is an extra spicy, peppery jerky, which just adds even more flavor to it. We didn't have to add any additional spices or seasonings, and there's no need to add additional salt. So if you're on a low sodium diet, but you still want to make sure you have enough to safely replace anything that you've lost during your hike, this meal is going to do it for you. I am excited to try this out, and I'm excited to hear from you folks what you think. If you'd like to see some other pre-packaged dehydrated meals that I make at home, let me know in the bottom in the comments, and we'll try and do some more of these videos. I'll definitely try and do it on a nicer day too, or at least practice on my tarp shelters a little bit more before I head out on the next one. So it's been about 10 minutes and our soup should be ready to go. Oh my goodness, look at that. Right off the bat, I get this amazing fragrance from the okra and the beef. Oh, that just looks delicious. Okay. I don't like to brag, but that is amazing. That is so good. It might be because I'm cold and it's a wet day, but this soup is amazing. The beef jerky really added extra spice and flavor into the already flavorful soup. And then that okra combination just gives it that sweet freshness. This is definitely one I'm going to keep track of and try again. So, all in all, I'd say today, despite the weather, was an amazing success. This has been a lot of fun playing with my tarp. I'm definitely going to get it out and try it a couple more times and try some different configurations that obviously provide a little bit more space and little bit more headroom. But all in all, for a $40 purchase, very happy with it. And our silicone bowl seems to be a success too. It's not too terribly hot on the bottom. There's definitely some heat dissipation. So I would give caution, and remember, don't put your hand underneath it while you're filling, just like you would any other bag. But all in all, it seems to be a great little new addition to my kit. So I'm going to eat up, pack up, and then start heading back to the trail before the sun goes completely down. So until next time, folks, I hope to see you out there on the trail. Let's go for a walk.